That was pretty strong for a limited crowd already. Did you get your push-ups knocked out? You got... I don't know any young patrolmen over here. Don't follow his physical regiment. All right, the hour of convening has arrived and the Senate will come to order. I'd like to ask the distinguished senator from the 53rd District who serves as our esteemed rules chairman. You're going to have to help me out here. What does the scarf match with? Is there some, in your tie? Okay. I'd like to recognize the rules chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just delighted to be here today. Yesterday, the senator from the 7th told me it was National Rubber Ducky Day, and I'm just so glad that he's devoted to those issues. Moment in history, in 1976, Ted Turner became the CEO of the Atlanta Braves. The rest is history. The journal has been read and found to be correct, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. I've been a little underwhelmed with your number of facts the last 2 days. I'm used to you delivering a more full body of important information, but just a point of reflection.
Thank you, Mr. President, for pointing that out. And I am a full body kind of guy, and so I'll be back around with more stuff right after this message.
Thank you. Is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? The chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills or resolutions to introduce, please bring them up to the secretary's desk at this time. We will stand at ease for 2 minutes and allow the rest of the Senate to fill up the chamber. 2 minutes. All right, the Senate will come back to order. This time I'd like to ask the Secretary to read a communication from the Governor.
Mr. President, the Senate has received the following communication from the Governor. Dear Secretary Cook, attached is a list of appointments to various boards, commissions, authorities, and other entities requiring Senate confirmation. This list is submitted pursuant to Senate Rules 3-31. If we can provide you with any additional information to assist your office in the confirmation process, please let us know. Thank you for your assistance. Sincerely, Brian Kemp, Governor.
Pursuant to Senate Rule 3-1.3, these appointments from the Governor are referred to the Committee on Assignments. Ms. Secretary, will you please read bills and resolutions for the second time?
Senate Resolution 363 by Senator Miller of the 49th and others, United States citizens' right to register and vote provide. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, it's now time for our morning roll call. It's now time for our morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? The chair recognizes the Majority Whip.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the following senators: the senator from the 7th, the senator from the 28th, and the senator from the 29th.
Without objection, the senators from the 7th, 28th, and 29th are excused. The chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, y'all. I'd like for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 22nd, 43rd, 44, 52, 42. 1 second, sir. Tillery. Blake, what was their numbers? For unanimous plea for business outside the Capitol.
What was the last one?
52, 42, hike. 52, 42.
All right, I'm going to read them out. Without objection, the senators from the 22nd, 43rd, 44th, 52nd, and 42nd
Yes, sir.
are
Thank you.
excused.
Yes, sir.
Are there any additional motions to excuse? The chair sees none. The secretary will call the roll. The senators signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The secretary will... I got the 44th. Yep. Secretary will unlock the machine. It's now time for a morning devotional, and I'd ask that all senators please take your seats and cease all audible conversations. I'd ask that our doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. I'd like to recognize the distinguished senator from the 34th to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance and to introduce us to our chaplain of the day.
Will you join me in pledging our nation's flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now our state's flag. Pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag, to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Courage. It is such an honor for me to introduce Reverend Walter C. Mobley, Jr., Associate Minister of Mount Vernon Baptist Church here in Atlanta, Georgia. Reverend Walter C. Mobley, Jr. is an ordained and licensed minister authorized to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. He has been preaching and teaching at churches, Bible conferences, workshops, retreats, student groups, and campus organizations for the past 31 years. Reverend Mosley is the former pastor of the Christian Faith Ministry of Macomb, Illinois. Currently, he serves as the associate minister to Mount Vernon Baptist Church. He is business leader and member of the faith community to deal with improving economic development, fair housing, and employment opportunities in Atlanta. He is active with the General Missionary Baptist Convention of Georgia 5th District and the Concerned Black Clergy of Atlanta and the Metropolitan Atlanta Baptist Ministers Union. Reverend Mobley serves as a volunteer chaplain to the Fulton County Jail. First assistant chaplain to each, I can't say all of that. These are the Greeks, so I'm gonna skip over. I know it's Phi Alpha fraternity, all that, right? Yeah, all of that. To train for Literacy Action of America, a big brother for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Atlanta, and a scout leader for the local Boy Scouts troop. Rev. Mobley has also served as chairman of the board of Next Home Ministries, a program to help single mothers find a job and a place to live while their children continue in school. He has worked with Meals on Wheels and food drives for seniors. He has worked as an official for semi-pro high school, middle school, and recreation football. Professionally, Reverend Mobley served as the Human Resource Manager for the City of Atlanta. He holds 3 degrees, a Master's in Divinity, 1997, Interdenominational Theological Center, Atlanta, Georgia, Master's of Science in Education, 1988, Western Illinois University, and a Bachelor's of Business Administration, 1981, Western Michigan University, Kalamazoo, Michigan. Reverend Mobley is married to Rosemary J. Mobley and has one daughter, Noelle A. Mobley. And I remember when Noelle was born. My Lord, I am so proud that he accepted my invitation to come and bless this chamber. I was very, very disappointed personally with my own daughter when she chose Reverend Mobley to be her official for her wedding ceremony as opposed to our pastor, because she wanted somebody younger. We got through that challenge, and to God be the glory. I am so proud to introduce to you, for your word this morning, Reverend Walter C. Mobley, Jr.
When does the clock start? Do I have a minute? Good morning. Good morning. You know, since the pandemic, we haven't had this many people in our church, so it's, I was telling Lieutenant Governor Duncan, this is a little nerve-wracking, but it's a blessing and pleasure to see you. To the Honorable Jeff Duncan, Lieutenant Governor, and to my friend, the Honorable Senator Valencia C., and to you all, the men and women of the Georgia Assembly, particularly here, the Senate, Mr. David Cook, thank you and your staff for their hospitality. Just like politicians, preachers, when they get into a good sounding mic, have a struggle because we want to go beyond the 5 minutes. Amen. But I'm honored and thank you for allowing me to serve as chaplain for the day. There's a story in the Bible, it's brief, I want to share it with you, of a person with a divine call and a divine charge. And Joshua, those of you who are familiar with the Bible, in the first chapter of Joshua, and particularly look at verses 2 through 9, God tells Joshua, you and all these people, get ready. He says, I will be with you. I will never leave you or forsake you. He says, be strong and be courageous because you will lead these people. So be strong and very courageous. And be careful, he says, to obey the law, that you may be successful wherever you go. And he tells Joshua, keep the book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written therein. Then you will be prosperous and successful. And he ends by saying in verse 9, have not I commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. When God calls and charges a leader, he already knows the challenges and obstacles they will face. But God expects that leader to do what God wants. In this lesson, God tells Joshua, be strong and courageous and not be afraid, for I am with you. Well, you and I today, God expects us to trust and obey him. A real leader would not be deterred or dissuaded to do what's right. They will seek God, pray to God, listen to God, meditate and commune with God, and be led by God. Then he says, you will be prosperous. Let us pray. Almighty God, you have allowed these men and women to assemble from throughout the state of Georgia with the express purpose to serve the least of these, our brothers and sisters. You have blessed them with great responsibility to care about the welfare of all the citizens of Georgia. And you have given them great opportunity to help our fellow human beings. These are the leaders selected by their constituents. They are the stewards of this state to make laws that protect us and help us prosper. Bless them to be aware of your presence. Bless them to be conscientious with all the decisions that they have before them. Bless them, their staffs, their families, as they work for the people of Georgia. Bless them in your name, Jesus. Amen. God bless you. Thank you.
All right, the Senate will come back to order. Are there any unanimous consents? The chair sees none. Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow senators, I want to bring something to your attention that you may or may not be aware of. And it revolves around one of our largest hospital groups and insurance providers in this state. Some of you may be aware that Northside Hospital and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield have been locked into a contractual debate that almost canceled coverage for many thousands of Georgians at the end of the year. Thankfully, a judge put a stay on that for 30 days. However, Anthem is now suing Northside to still end that contract. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and the very last thing we need right now is one of our largest hospital groups and our single largest healthcare insurance provider to not be at the table working out their differences to make sure that we're protecting people. In August of 2020, most of you know that I almost lost my son, Will. Had it not been for the doctors and nurses at Cherokee Northside Hospital, I'd be visiting his grave right now. And we use Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. I'm calling on those folks to sit down at a table, work through your contractual differences, and protect and preserve the needed medical care and insurance coverage that Georgians need and deserve. So to every executive right now at Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield and to those here at home at Northside, sit down and work this out and protect our fellow Georgians. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd, the Rules Chairman, for a point of personal privilege.
Well, Mr. President, sometimes you produce legislation to make a better Georgia. Sometimes you produce legislation to get people's attention. Well, the Georgia High School Association, let me tell you, the president, chairman, or whatever his name is, and I'm not going to mention Robin Hines, but he used to tell his members not to contact their legislators. What they do there is none of our business. However, he has now told his members to contact us. Why? Well, they're trying to protect their domain. They're trying to protect their evilness. They're trying to protect how they violate other high schools and school systems around Georgia. Of course, by spreading negativism and also by spreading the untruth. We're trying to get them to understand that their goal should be to make sure school systems, high school systems, are treated fairly. With their arrogancy, they are not. That's why we're here today. Now, again, as I said the other day, you have been contacted in the past by some parent whose child is being disenfranchised or from some school system that is not being respected. Well, let's create a new high school association. All my bill does is say, hey, we're going to create a new high school association. But we're inviting all the high schools that are not happy with being part of the Georgia High School Association to join us, to create a new high school association. Because what are they fearful of? Well, it could be the millions of dollars of TV and radio contracts that they have with no oversight. Oh, well, let's see. Should we be involved? Well, it's state tax dollars that go to these schools so they can pay their membership. So, yes, we should be involved, especially when our constituents and many of our schools are being mistreated, are not being respected. Well, I demand respect for our school systems, and we're going to get it. So as Robin Hood would say, the movie Prince of Thieves, join us now. Join Robin Hood. And we're going to take back from those arrogant, wealthy Georgia High School Association executives and board members and create a high school association that will respect the schools and treat everybody fairly. So, join us now. Join Robin Hood. Join Mullis. And let's make a difference. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I hope I made my point, and we're going to proceed on. Have a good day.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 38th for a point of personal privilege.
Good morning, colleagues. Oh, I have actually two. The first one is, and I don't see that she is in the chamber, but we have doctors of the day that we have had for the last century, as I will put it. Seems like it's been a century. But I want to introduce, even though she's not here, Dr. Adrian Mims. Dr. Mims currently works at Rainmakers Strategic Solutions, LLC, as the Chief Medical Officer, where she specializes in quality measurements and improvements, health equity, and stakeholder engagement for federal agencies. It was her relationship with her grandmother that led her to pursue board certifications in geriatrics and family medicine. Dr. Mims has extensive clinical practice experience in value-based care for adults and seniors. And I don't think I'm looking around the room. Oh, there are some youngsters in here. Most of us are seniors, unfortunately, or fortunately, because we have the experience to give to others. Dr. Mims' long tenure in the field of medicine really is too lengthy and illustrious, to mention all of her accomplishments in the short time we have this morning. But I will say that most recently, Dr. Mims was recognized by Continental Who's Who as a trusted gerontologist and chief medical officer for her dedicated life's work in the medical field. On a personal note, Dr. Mims enjoys traveling internationally, spending time with her husband and friends, and reading with her 3 book clubs. She also enjoys my favorites, walking and hiking. Colleagues, it's my pleasure to present to you, even though I don't think she's here, Dr. Mims. So I thank you very much for that and for her. Okay, points of personal privilege. Good morning, Happy New Year. And I will say Happy New Year because, as you all know, I was not on the list to be alive this year. But thankfully for all of your prayers, and everything that you did, and others, my husband in particular, I am here this year. So I definitely want to acknowledge that. I know that these last 2 years have been challenging for all of us, individually and collectively. I did not expect the additional personal challenges that I would have to face over the past year and a half. It has not been easy, but I am thankful and happy to be here with you today, and truly grateful for all of the get well wishes, caring words of encouragement, and especially the prayers. I felt those prayers to my core, and I am eternally grateful to all of you. And finally, for those who reach out with prayers and condolences on the passing of my mother, which was a year ago yesterday, Mrs. Virginia Barnett Tate. I want to say thank you on behalf of the Tate Barnett families. My mother was 94 years young, and we are fortunate to have been able to enjoy her long and wonderful life. We are blessed. And I know a lot of you knew her because she would come down and spend some time with us over those years. Mr. President, and with respect and sincere appreciation, I now yield the well. Thank you.
Great to have you back. Chair recognizes the senator from the 24th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to make an announcement. On May the 24th, GMA will have their annual breakfast at the 7 o'clock at the Atlanta Hilton Grand Ballroom. Guest speakers would be the governor, be the speaker, and our one and only lieutenant governor. And also it'll be a time that you can get to see your mayors and your city council members. But that'll be the 24th at 7 a.m. at the Atlanta Hilton Grand Ballroom. Thank you.
Does the senator yield for questions?
I don't know where May came from, but anyway, Monday the 24th, January.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 48th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. And to my colleagues, Happy New Year. I'm so happy to be back working with you this session. So today I'm going to talk about a critical national problem, and I'm also going to give us a way to help solve it. The American Red Cross says the nation is facing its worst blood shortage in more than a decade. Blood banks usually try to keep about a 3-day supply on hand for hospital and patient needs, but at present, many blood banks have less than a 1-day supply of blood on hand. And what this means is the shortage of donated blood is threatening patient care and forcing doctors to make tough choices about who is able to get blood transfusions. And these patients include not just trauma patients or patients undergoing major surgery, but also cancer patients, pediatric patients, patients with sickle cell disease, just to name a few. The reason for this shortage is multifactorial, just like everything, but the pandemic has played a prominent role because there have been fewer blood drives at work, medical staffing issues, lower turnout at blood donation sites, and more recently, winter weather challenges for transport and the Omicron surge. So, because of these challenges, we're in this moment of historic crisis, and medical practitioners are finding it really difficult to best care for their patients. So the solution, obviously, is to increase the number of blood donations, and there are a few easier ways to save a life than by giving blood. Actually, each unit of blood that you give has the potential to save up to 3 lives, as these donated units can be broken down into component parts. The greatest need exists for people to donate type O blood, either type O positive, which is the kind that I have, which luckily is the most common blood type. About 38% of the population has type O positive blood, and especially type O negative blood, which is considered liquid gold because this is the universal donor. Any recipient essentially can receive type O negative blood. If you do not know what your blood type is, you can still donate. And in little more than a week, you won't even have to work very hard or walk very far to solve this problem, because my team has arranged for a mobile blood drive to be staged at the Capitol, right outside the door between the CLOB and the Capitol building, next Monday, January 24th, so the day we get back after Budget Week. We're going to have 2 mobile units going to be set up right on the street. Broadly speaking, the primary requirements to donate blood are that you have to be over the age of 16, in generally good health, not actively sick, and weigh at least 110 pounds. I trust most of us generally fit this criteria. You all have a flyer on your desk that has a little QR code that you can use with your phone to make an appointment for a blood donation. The mobile donation sites are going to be here all day from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. to maximally enable people to take out some time from their very busy days to give this gift of life. The donation process, from experience, takes about 30 to 45 minutes from start to finish, so it doesn't take very long. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you for spreading the information about this blood drive. It is open to everyone, including members, staff, members of the media, and to the general public. It is going to be right outside the Capitol building. It's not every day we're able to save this many lives with this little effort, and it's rare that you get to sit in a comfy chair while doing it and be given a granola bar and Gatorade afterwards. So thank you so much. See you all next Monday, January 24th, outside at the Mobile Blood Trucks. With that, thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Take a quick break here and introduce to us, no introduction needed, former Senator and Supreme Court Justice Charlie Bethel's with us here today. Chair recognizes the senator from the 21st for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to come and talk about a subject that's really, it's not a sexy issue, freight and logistics, infrastructure. As we go into budget week, we've studied this issue now for 3 years, and I want to thank the senator from the 51st who chaired it this year. But as you notice, as you go into your grocery store, we got some empty shelves, and we're having a tough time with supply chain issues. And I am a believer that there's a direct correlation between infrastructure investment and economic development and job creation. And I would just ask, as we go into the budget week, we've got the senator from the 19th, that we look at infrastructure investment and make sure that we're looking at our supply chain and supporting the Port of Savannah, and making sure that we continue to be the #1 state to do business in, and we have to make sure we have the proper infrastructure in place to do that. So thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 43rd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I am so super excited. I'm excited today because today is January 14th, but tomorrow, January 15th, is Founders Day for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. We got our humble beginnings as a vision of 9 college students on the campus of Howard University, January 15th, 1908. Since then, the sorority has flourished into a globally impactful organization of more than 300,000 college-trained members, bound by the bonds of sisterhood and empowered by a commitment to servant leadership that is both domestic and international in its scope. As Alpha Kappa Alpha has grown, it has maintained its focus in 2 key arenas: the lifelong personal and professional development of each of its members, and galvanizing its membership into an organization of respected power and influence, consistently at the forefront of effective advocacy and social change that results in equality and equity for all citizens around the world. During the 114-year history of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, we have partnered with local communities, regional and national organizations to solve problems, as well as provide programs of service at home and abroad. As the first sorority for Black women and the finest of them all, I am happy to say Happy Founders Day to Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Thank you. Oh, and here we are. Did he say, he says Kiwi? Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 50th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise today to address something that's been weighing on me. In case you haven't heard, President Biden and our Vice President Harris gave speeches
in Georgia earlier this week, and I'm sure you're not surprised to hear that they hollered the same lies about our election integrity bill that they've been using to raise money with for months. And if I can get straight to the point, none of us, no one in this chamber, should be okay with that. Collectively, every senator in this august body is elected to represent the people of Georgia. And earlier this week, President Joe Biden and our vice president treaded on us. They were here in our state, lying to Georgians, perpetuating division between Georgians, trying to manipulate Georgians, depriving Georgians of the honesty and transparency that they deserve, and we should not be okay with that. Every person in this room knows that the truth about the election integrity bill is that it did a lot of good. More early voting means more access. More around-the-clock drop boxes means more access. Drastically reducing voter lines means more access, especially for minority voters. This bill solved a decades-long impediment to minority voters. No state in the nation has ever set a time limit on how long is too long to wait in line to vote, and we said 1 hour is the longest anyone should ever wait. We're better than this. Georgians deserve access to their vote, and they also deserve faith in the election process. We gave them both, but those facts won't help Stacey Abrams. Those facts won't help President Biden. So instead, they lie so candidly to Georgians that even the Washington Post called them out and gave them 4 Pinocchios. We need to demand better than this. You may call me young or naive for wanting what's best for the state, but I don't think honesty from elected officials should ever be optional. I don't think President Biden and Stacey Abrams prioritizing their personal political agendas and their fundraising over honesty is acceptable. These lies are meant to deepen the division we're seeing all over this state. More than that, they have real economical effects on our state, like losing the MLB All-Star Game and the hundreds of millions of dollars that came with it. These lies hurt Georgia. We must demand better than this. Other states may tolerate President Biden running around lying about us all over the country, but not here in Georgia. There is too much at stake. We know the truth, you know the truth, and we should have no tolerance for these lies. Let's be better than this. Mr. President, I yield the will.
Here. Chair recognizes the senator from the 36th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, so happy to be with you here on this bright Friday afternoon as we start our Dr. Martin Luther King weekend, honoring a man who spent his every waking moment leading us to a fuller democracy where all God's children are at the table. Now, we've heard in the last few minutes a mention of lies being told. And I want to talk about a lie that's being told. When Bill 202 passed, we have heard the hands thrown up in the air by members of the GOP who voted for that bill, a voter suppression bill. How could this be voter suppression? This isn't voter suppression. While we're just making it fair and we're going to assure everybody that we have good, clean elections. Well, let me tell you something. Now take this home and think about it. The piece of that bill that says the state elections board, from which our Secretary of State has been removed. The state elections board can go into counties and pick and choose who's dismiss the local elections board and pick and choose who's going to be on that board and appoint a new one. Well, they're busily at work for that, colleagues, and they're doing it right now in front of God and everybody. And they've done it in 6 counties at least already. And let's talk for a minute about Lincoln County. Lincoln, named after the president who led this nation to reunite after the Confederacy succeeded and went to war. In Lincoln County, Georgia, right now, the new board that's been appointed under the law that you passed, that new board that's been appointed by the state elections board, they dismissed the former board, And you know what that board has already done? They're wasting no time. They've consolidated 7 precincts down into 1 precinct in that little rural county. And people have to drive 10 to 15 miles now to cast their vote. This is in a county with no public transportation. Now, you all protest. We hear it from the GOP all the time. This is a wonderful bill. We're not harming anybody. We're helping everybody. No, you're going around and creating barriers county by county to block low-income African-American people from casting a vote. That is pure voter suppression. And you're doing it in a county called Lincoln. The irony, we cannot escape the irony. So, fiery speeches up here about lies being told. I really want to turn the lights on and tell you the truth. Look at what's happening in Lincoln County. Voter suppression, active, underway as we speak. And they're not finished. All the work, those other counties, you know, they kicked Helen Butler off the elections board in her county. Who is Helen Butler? She has given her life to registering voters. She heads up the People's Agenda that was founded by Dr. Reverend Lowry, Joseph Lowry, one of the lieutenants and a winner of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She heads that up. She's been on that board for years in her small rural county. She labors every day to build access to voting. And she was deemed by this state elections board, and you gave them the power when you passed 202, she was deemed not worthy to continue her service on that election board. So let's be clear, let's be candid, let's be truthful, let's talk about any lies being told. When the lie is told that 202 bill doesn't harm anybody and is not an act of voter suppression, oh, yes, it is, and it's underway right now. Thank you for your attention. Let's do better. Let's be better. And happy Martin Luther King birthday. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 42nd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Morning, colleagues. I'm actually quite shocked to hear very aggressive and bold claims that the President of the United States is lying, said repeatedly. And it appears, because similar speeches are being made in the other chamber, that the governor or perhaps other members of the Republican establishment aren't too happy about a light being shined on a national scale on actions undertaken by this General Assembly and governor in the wake of what was determined by all of our elections officials, courts, national security officials, and the list goes on and on and on, the safest and most secure election in the history of the United States, modern history of the United States, and we come in here and do an 88 thorough rewrite of Georgia's elections code and expect that everyone will sit around and be like, well, there's certainly no malice in that, there's certainly no politics in that, and when it gets pointed out, people are accused of lying. Well, if you want to accuse the President of the United States of lying, let me just say that we should be a little more careful about what's declared from this podium then, before you cast stones. Because I just heard a claim that now we have more drop boxes. Well, I can tell you in my county, in the wake of 202, the way I voted last year is no longer available to me. And you would not know that, would you, from the remarks that were made earlier this morning? In fact, in Cobb, just in 3 counties, 3 of our populous urban counties, where the lines do get long, here's what happened with drop boxes. There were 80 of them in 2020. Now, under 202, these 3 counties, with a combined population, let's see, of probably 2.7 million people, something like that, are only allowed 20 drop boxes. 1/4 the number. And not only that, they are now demanded to be put only in certain buildings in certain hours. And the claim, which I don't want to call a lie, but certainly seems suspect, the claim appears to be that that will make the lines shorter. So if someone's going to get up here and start saying things that are that aggressive about the president of our country, I would expect a little better from the claims made in that very speech from this podium in this Senate chamber. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
You have a consent calendar of privileged resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? The chair sees none. Is there objection or adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar? The chair hears none, and the resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw and commit? The Rules Chairman's feeling awfully frisky today. The chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Monday, 24 January 2022. 24 January 2022.
Mr. Secretary, do you have any announcements?
All committee meetings have been canceled for today. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Does any senator wish to make an announcement? Rules Chairman, anything left on your plate to tell us about? The Majority Leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until Monday, January 24th, 2022 at 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate stands adjourned. Have a great weekend.